This is how you do world building in a pilot the right way. The Knights of Guinevere pilot is not perfect. I personally found the pacing in the beginning to be a bit slow, the whole corporations ruin everything message to be a bit heavy-handed, especially with the Walt Disney and Disney Princess stand-ins, but I really like this show, and one thing it does really, really well is establish the world in a way that feels both organic and expansive. The episode starts with a little girl and her broken doll, and it doesn't give us long to sit with these characters before you realize that something is not right here. Even if you didn't pick up on the creepy vibes right away, after she brutally pulls her friend by the intestine and almost mockingly calls her princess, you probably start to get the idea that these are not the good guys. And even in this first scene, I love the way that the message is being delivered because it completely recontextualizes what little we have already assumed about these characters. The previous scene about a little girl sad about her broken doll becomes a dark and twisted thing when you realize that Guinevere being broken is the result of one of her many violent escape attempts. And then immediately after that, we go into another flashback scene that is almost directly opposed to this one. We have another girl with childlike innocence looking for a Princess Guinevere doll, but in this scene, the environment is completely different. Gone is the lavish and extravagant bedroom and castle, and now we have a single claw machine in an almost purposely barren environment. This shot here even cuts out all of the surrounding. Nothing exists except for the single spotlight on this claw machine, as if we are seeing this through the memory of a child. Because in this moment, the surroundings don't matter to Frankie. All she sees in her mind is the claw machine with the Princess Guinevere doll. After this, we get some of the only real exposition in the pilot in the form of this brief montage that starts off pretty corporation friendly and then devolves into more realistic and dark themes as it goes on, which is a good segue into the real world of Knights of Guinevere. This is not the glitz and glam of the theme parks that we saw before. The real world is a harsh reality. We're shown through Andrea's interactions that she's disliked for being a crownie, and although we're not explicitly told what that is at this time, it's shown through context that it's someone who works for these corporations, which seems to be a job that is somewhat coveted for its relative safety and status, and also despised for its perceived subservience and, as we later find out, potential health risks. As we follow Andy and Frankie, we can see that the rest of the residents live in relative squalor, barely seeming to get by. Frankie herself works long hours and hard jobs, including menial labor and also literally collecting the trash that is thrown from the topside. Also, side note, this scene of trash raining down on them actually reminded me a lot of Gachiakuta. This seems to be where we hit our first major plot point as Frankie finds the Guinevere doll. She can't identify the model right away, which is a little bit of a tell because Frankie seems to be very familiar with the Princess Guinevere dolls, which reminded me a little bit of Alita Battle Angel, and it's also maybe kind of a foreshadowing to where we get to later. But for now, all we know is that this is in fact the original Guinevere doll that we saw, who was making the escape attempts, and it's confirmed that she did manage to make it to the surface. We also find out here that either a significant amount of time has passed or something is seriously wrong with the little girl from the intro because she is now very withered and frail and she wants her doll back. So she sends one of her personal guards to go down and get it. Andy and Frankie have to fix her up, so they go down to the lower levels and are almost immediately attacked by this personal guard who turns into this horrible monstrosity, which leads to a pretty funny scene where it starts by being very polite and then gets very frustrated very quickly. But the day is saved when Guinevere turns out to be extremely strong, and that's pretty much where the pilot ends. Indie animation on YouTube is a genre that has always kind of existed on the periphery, but it seems to have really exploded in popularity in the last years, with some shows breaking into the mainstream and getting picked up by Amazon Prime like Helluva Boss and Hazbin Hotel. And I think you can really understand why when you look at a pilot like this. This has everything you would expect from a studio animation. The voice acting is amazing, the 2D animation looks very fluid, and the way they wrote and built up the world in a single pilot without relying on any exposition dumping is very impressive, and it makes me want to see more from this. Because in a world of yellow paint video games and characters monologuing their entire backstory, it feels really good to have a show that trusts the audience to pick up on context clues and figure out where the world is coming from. Let me know in the comments what you thought if you saw the pilot. If you'd like to see more, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.